I'm sure you've wondered how your body burns fat, especially when you're going through a weight loss program like ketogenic. After all, it's not like you can see the fat burning off of you. So how do you know it's working? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly that. How does the body burn fat? Hey everyone, I'm a certified keto and intermittent fasting coach. And if you're new here, I have a mission to help you become fat adapted, so you can thrive on a low-carb, ketogenic diet. So if that's you, definitely consider subscribing. Now let's get into it. So the first thing to understand is that fat is stored energy. But how does that work? Well, let me explain. When you eat a meal, whether it's high carb or high fat, that food gets broken down into its most basic form, which is called a fatty acid. Now, this fatty acid can be used immediately for energy, or it can be stored for later use by converting it into something called body fat. This process of converting the food into body fat and storing it is called lipogenesis. It happens when there's an excess of fatty acids available. Now, under normal circumstances, the body will use a combination of fat and carbs for energy. However, when you switch over to a ketogenic diet, the body becomes much more efficient at burning fat because it's no longer relying on carbs for fuel. Instead, the body breaks down the fat into molecules called ketones, which are used by the body for energy. This process is called lipolysis. Now, lipolysis occurs in two steps. The first step is mobilization, where the body releases fatty acids from the fat cells into the bloodstream. The second step is oxidation, where the fatty acids are broken down and used for energy by the cells. So in the first step of fat-burning mobilization, the body breaks down triglycerides into glycerol and free fatty acids. Triglycerides are made up of 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol molecule. So when they're broken down, you end up with 1 glycerol molecule and 3 free fatty acids. The free fatty acids then travel through the bloodstream to be used for energy by the cells, while the glycerol can be used to make new glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. This can happen in the liver and the kidneys. And that's important for people on a ketogenic diet, because it means they don't have to completely eliminate carbs from their diet to prevent their bodies from breaking down muscle tissue for energy. And the second step of fat burning is oxidation. This is when the free fatty acids are actually used for energy by the cells. When oxygen is present, the free fatty acids are broken down in the mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell. This process releases energy that's used to make ATP, which is the body's main energy currency. So that's how the body burns fat, by first breaking it down into its most basic components and then using those components for energy. But what makes fat burn faster? Well, there are a few things. The first is exercise. Exercise increases the amount of energy the body uses, which leads to more fat being broken down for energy. In fact, during exercise, the body can use up to 50% of its energy from fat. The next thing is fasting. When you fast, you're depriving your body of food, which lowers the amount of available energy. This forces the body to rely more on fat for energy. In fact, when you fast for up to 24 hours, the body will burn about 1 pound of fat per day. Finally, the last thing that can increase the amount of fat being burned is a low-carb diet. As mentioned before, when you eat a low-carb diet, the body switches over to burning fat for energy much more quickly than it would otherwise. On a ketogenic diet, the body will burn fat for energy almost immediately after starting the diet. And that's it. So now you know how fat burns in the body. I'm going to recommend a video on the 5 key principles to burning fat. These are the exact steps that I had my clients take when we were working together to lose weight and keep it off. So check out the video on the 5 key principles to burning fat. You're there.